And I offered the people of Florida a clear choice between more of the same career politicians who have frankly failed us in every area, or in a self-made man who has been successful in business, who knows how to create jobs, who will get results, and once and for all, with no special interest money, will put the people of Florida first.
And I will also be the only candidate that will stand up for the middle class and provided real tax cuts for the middle class and small businesses. As it relates to my mother, she's a former member of Congress. She was hired to help move the project along as it relates to the local level, did not have any involvement with me. Nothing that I've done has been improper, and that's the reason why I'm not a subject in any investigation whatsoever.
Mother was getting $90,000 in a Cadillac Escalade from a developer for whom you were asking for $4 million of our taxpayer money. People in Florida need that money for important projects here in Florida, not to pay back some guy who's employing your mother and giving loans to your chief of staff to buy a house. And I think that people of Florida are fed up with it. If I were accused of these kinds of things, I personally would ask for an ethics investigation. I think you should ask the House to do an ethics investigation once and for all and get to the bottom of this, because I think the people of Florida need to know who you're really working for. I mean, look, the truth of the matter is I'm running in this race against 3 candidates, all of whom were involved in corruption scandals. Marco Rubio, caught using the Republican Party credit card to pay for minivan repairs, to pay for groceries, to pay for back waxing. You know, now he didn't pay his subprime mortgage. He probably got his subprime mortgage at a Kendrick-Meek subprime mortgage fair. I mean, the whole thing is just ridiculous. Charlie Crist, his hand-picked leader of the party, gets arrested and taken away in handcuffs. And now my opponent in the primary is saying he has no idea that his mother's driving around in a brand-new Cadillac Escalade and is getting $90,000 fee, and he's asking for $4 million of our money to go to a developer.
Mr. Greene seems to want to throw grenades here today, but that's fine. It has nothing to do with the fact that I have provided a level of service for Floridians that they're accustomed to. I think it's also important to note for Mr. Greene to sit here and criticize everyone when he is the king of the uncovered credit default swap that brought about the destruction of our economy that we have right now.
I wasn't doing any trades against homeowners. This is fiction coming from Kendrick-Meek. I did a derivatives trade against the biggest banks on Wall Street. I took a big risk. I absolutely in no way regret doing it. When I saw the real estate market imploding, I had to do something to protect the jobs I'd created, the mouths I was feeding, and the investments that I'd worked a lifetime to own. What caused the housing crisis, everyone knows. What caused the housing crisis? The failure of Kendrick-Meek and other congressmen to regulate the banks. I mean, banks were making loans, predatory loans, that they never should have been making to borrowers who could not possibly pay back their loans. So of course they defaulted, and that's why we have the foreclosure mess.
Bottom line is that Mr. Greene was a pioneer of the uncovered credit default swap that created equity drained out of the homes of Floridians and those that lost their homes. On nights when Floridians went to bed trying to save, praying that they could save their homes and save the equity in their homes, Mr. Greene was praying that they lose their homes so he can profit and become a billionaire. The method that he used and helped create was weapons of mass destruction when it came down to the financial market. This is not fiction, it's fact. The fact that Mr. Greene's background is a mystery. How he made his money, the jobs that he created. One of the businesses that he owned went into Chapter 11 just last week, and 11,000 jobs are being risk of individuals losing those jobs. So he talks about these jobs that he creates, and that's the reason why his candidacy in this race is a big question mark in a Democratic primary. Derivatives that he helped create and make popular in this country that brought about the economic meltdown and the recession that we're going through right now, Mr. Greene had a lot to do with it. He had a lot to do with it in making sure that his Wall Street buddies knew where to make money when the subprime market crashed. We're carrying out financial reform right now. I already voted on financial reform. We're waiting on the Senate to act on financial reform. So I think it's very important that we look at the facts versus fiction in this race. And the fact is that Warren Buffett called what Mr. Greene calls protecting his investments weapons of mass destruction, financial weapons of mass destruction that brought about the meltdown that we're dealing with right now.
Ooh, okay, well, Kendrick, talk about facts and fiction. I mean, that is just one 3-minute speech of fiction. I mean, I don't know if you even know what a credit default swap or derivative is. Not a single Floridian lost a penny, Kendrick, because of the investments I made, and you know that's the case. The housing crisis happened because of you, Kendrick. Let's be honest here. You took money from Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. You had subprime housing seminars in your district. You also took money from Bank of America, J.P. Morgan, and Merrill Lynch. You had the subprime seminars in your district. You encouraged people to take on these subprime loans. I saw the flyer on the web. Anybody can look it up, Kendrick-Meek subprime. It's right there. And it said you encouraged them to take on loans that you knew or should have known they would have no ability to pay back. That's why we have a housing crisis. I don't regret protecting the jobs I'd created. I would do it again.
If it wasn't true, it would be funny, Mr. Greene. I think it's important that you understand that you created the uncovered credit default swaps, and there were very few individuals that were able to play at your level at this game. You made millions of dollars on the backs and misery of Floridians and people in California. You wanted to profit. Now you want to turn around and use those dollars to convince Democrats, which we know that there are Democrats that are registered here in Florida. You just got here 2.5 years ago, and now you're showing up and saying, I want to be the United States Senator because my wallet says so.